All right, hope everybody's doing good. Hope your trucks are running good. I'm going to put two things together in this video because they go hand in hand, and that's getting your authority and getting your insurance. I'm going to start off with insurance. The insurance is so complicated. There's so much to it, and I am definitely no expert, but I tried as much as I could to study up and do my homework and get the best policy. And I ended up going with Progressive, and there's lots of reasons for that. It is the most expensive one out there, but I believe it's worth it. So in the beginning, I started, you know, looking for the cheapest insurance, which turned out to be a mistake. Luckily, I caught it before it was too late. So what I wanted was an insurance agent that was in Texas. I wanted one close to my hometown, but I couldn't find any that could give me commercial insurance. I wanted to go through an agent. I didn't want the direct policies because I wanted someone who was going to answer that phone. I didn't have to wait on hold. And so I found an agent. He wasn't too terribly far from where I live, and I just got lucky. He's a really good guy. Always, I mean, as soon as I send an email or if I dial his number on the phone, boom, it's answered. So my advice on insurance: it is everybody's situation is going to be completely different. There's no two people, even though they might live in the same house, be the same age, and do the same job, their insurance is probably going to come out completely different. But here's my advice: when you're shopping for insurance, never tell an agent, "Hey, I'm thinking about this. I might be doing this in a few months." Always be committed. Tell them, "Yeah, I need to get this insurance quote because I need to do this right away. I'm serious about this." Be serious. Be committed. And nobody wants to waste their time and their money on somebody who's saying, "Yeah, I might do it. I'm shopping around. I might do it in 6 months or something like that." Just don't be like that. Just make them think you're ready to do this, and they'll be serious about it. They'll be getting you the quotes that you want. Be honest about your driving record. Don't tell them you have a perfect record if you have a couple of tickets. That's not going to hurt anybody but you. My insurance for the whole year, and I've seen it. It's expensive. Look, when I first got it, I thought, man, this is expensive, and I knew it was going to be one of the biggest expenses starting this thing. But now that I've looked at it and I've seen a few people on YouTube, I realize it's not quite as expensive as others. It's definitely more expensive than if these guys going out and getting cut rate insurance at these no-name places. But mine costs a little over $15,000 a year, so about $1,300 a month. Yeah, about $1,300 a month, I believe, is what it is. And the reason that I went with Progressive, some of the bigger companies out there, a few of them that knew I wanted to drive for, if you call them and start asking about insurance, they're gonna start telling you that some of the companies they don't work with. And once you start asking around at all the companies, everybody works with Progressive. So there's no, worrying about it later, when, you've got that cut rate insurance and you've saved yourself $3,000 a year. And then that $5,000 load comes up from Landstar, whoever it is, and you call them and they say, "Oh, wait a minute, we don't accept that insurance." All that is out the door, all that savings you thought you were getting. So that's one of the reasons I went with Progressive. Number two, if you've ever had to use insurance, and I've had quite a bit, you do not want to go with cut rate insurance. I won't go into that too much, but you get what you pay for. You definitely get what you pay for with insurance. You definitely want that insurance company that is actually going to pay if you get in an accident, and not argue with you, for months and months. There's I talked about going through an agent and not uh, directly to a company, because I wanted that personal relationship. If you go directly through a company and don't use an agent, you're losing that. You don't have a relationship. And every time you try to call, you're getting a different person who has different information and doesn't know you and doesn't know your business and what you need. So to me, that relationship with somebody that you can actually work with and get along with is very important. So that's why I went through an agent, and I actually priced insurance directly through Progressive, and then with an agent, no difference in the cost. So might as well have that person. And it's really important when it comes to getting certificate of insurance. I can email my agent when I'm filling out a new carrier packet. I can email my agent any time of day and say, hey, can you send a COI, certificate of insurance, to these folks? Within 5-10 minutes, it's done. Now, there's another way that I can do it. I can go online, or another couple of ways. I can go call Progressive directly and, wait on hold and maybe get somebody that does it right away. You don't know. And then there's another way you can go online and request it, electronically. But having that agent there to do it for you, and it, boom, answers all your questions. You're done. Peace of mind there. How did the does the insurance and the authority go together? You cannot get your authority if you do not have insurance. The government has tied them both together. So you can apply for your authority, and it will just sit there and sit there, and nothing will happen. You will never get your DOTMC numbers ever. It will never become active until you get your insurance and you have your insurance agent notify the government that, hey, he's got insurance, it's paid for, and here's a policy number. And they put them both together. So it's very important that when you're shopping for insurance, you after you get that quote, you let them know that, hey, I'm applying for my authority now, and I'm going to need the insurance. Well, they'll probably tell you the exact moment you need the insurance if they know their business. So one of the things about this is that you don't want to get your insurance a week before you apply for your authority, because you're just wasting your money. There comes a moment after you apply for your authority when you want to pay for the insurance and then have your insurance agent notify the government that it's paid for. You don't want to get it too soon. You don't want to get it too late. I've seen several guys on YouTube talk about waiting till the last second, and they save themselves, 5, 6, 7, 8 days of insurance payments. But knowing what I know about working with the government, I suggest you don't do that. Just ask your insurance agent when you should put that insurance on there. Don't do it before. Wait till the right moment. I did mine, I think it was just a few days after I applied for the authority. And when I did apply for my authority, it all came back in that 21 days period. So no big deals. Everything was done right. Why I suggest you don't wait till the last, these guys telling you wait till the very, very last minute, is because it's a government office. They may pick up your piece of paper a day early and, oh, wait a minute, it doesn't have insurance on it. Put it back under the pile and start all over. So you just never know. Just better safe than sorry. And again, I'm no expert on any of this, but I would suggest that you don't fill out the paperwork yourself. When I first started this, I did this process several years ago, and at the very end of it, when my numbers became active, I gave them up and I decided to go to Landstar. But I went through OIDA then, and I don't recommend OOIDA. Just wasn't my cup of tea. But what I do recommend is that you hire someone to file that paperwork for you. I got the paperwork, I printed it off, I looked at it, and I said, you know what, this doesn't seem too terribly complicated. And then I got into it and I filled it out, and I thought, yeah, maybe I've got it right, maybe I didn't. I did a little bit more research and I figured out, hey, I don't have this right at all. One little thing can throw you off. And if I would have filled out my own paperwork and filed it, it would have been sent back to me. I would have been doing it over and over again, and the process would have taken so much longer. And it really, to get somebody that knows what they're doing to file that paperwork for you, it doesn't cost that much. And it's just the easiest part of the whole process. I went with a company called 1 Hour Authority the second time I did it, and it literally took a little less than an hour. We emailed back and forth a couple times. I talked to somebody on the phone, and in less than an hour, they had everything filled out and my paperwork filed. That easy. They knew what they were doing, and that's why I suggest going through somebody, because one little misprint that, it may, I think one of the forms asked for my name, and it didn't specify. What I found out later should have been my business name instead of my name. And luckily, I did hire somebody to fill out this paperwork for me, because I put my name in this one spot. And then when I did my research, I found out later, oh, wait a minute, you don't put your name there. You put your business name there if you have a business name. But so those little things can get complicated. And obviously, you know, people who want to make money at doing this designed them to be complicated, because they don't want you to do your own stuff. They want you to hire somebody to do it. So let's go ahead and hire somebody to do it, get it over with. So those two things definitely go hand in hand. I could have included getting insurance in the previous video, what to do before getting your authority, but getting insurance quotes doesn't really take that long. One thing I did was I went on one of those sites that you've put in all your information and they do the shopping for you. And I gave them permission to call me and email me, and I got a bunch of quotes that way. And excuse me, I did get those quotes, where insurance was $10,000, and I thought, man, and that's what I was looking for to begin with. Oh man, $10,000, and then Progressive wants 15. I'm going to go with these guys. And the more I looked into it, the more I was like, no, it's just not worth it. So definitely look into that. If you're going with, let's say, OOIDA, make sure that you know who will take OOIDA's insurance, because not everybody does. If you only are going to work with one or two companies, then you can probably get away with going with those no-name guys with the cheap insurance to save yourself a little bit of money to start out with. But my advice is, just if you know a few of those companies that you're going to be doing most of your business with, give them a call and say, hey, and these insurance companies have ratings. So if you call them up, some of these companies will say, yeah, we only work with A+ rated insurance. So you can do it that way. Just if you're only going to work with a couple of companies, or the two major ones, three major ones you're going to work with, give them a call and say, hey, I'm thinking about going with this insurance. Will you work with me? That simple. So those two things definitely go together. Don't get your insurance and make that down payment before you file your authority. And don't file for your authority before you know how much that insurance down payment is going to be, because uh, it's a first month and last month type of thing, the down payment. So my insurance, I paid 20 almost $2,700 down. So that was my first month's payment on the insurance and my last month. Some of these people I've seen, I don't know if they have tickets or some type of violation, or maybe just the area or the type of equipment they're going to use. But I've seen and heard about people that are getting quotes close to $20,000. And that's a big hit in the pocket, put that down payment down right at first. So do your homework and realize that those two things are hand in hand. They, as soon as you're going to get one, that's when you need the other and not before. Okay, it's the moment of truth. You have your company, your insurance company picked out. You know exactly how much your down payment's going to be. You have your company picked out to fill and file your authority paperwork. So this is a point where you have to have a plan in place. Even if it's the wrong plan, have a plan in place. You can always, make modifications to a plan later. But if you have nothing planned at all, you're just floating in the breeze. You don't have any direction. So have your plan in place. Call your company and say, "Hey, I'm ready. File my authority paperwork. Let's do it now." At that moment, you want to call your insurance people and say, "Hey, I just filed my authority paperwork." And if they know their business and they're not too shady, they're going to let you know the exact moment when you need to pay for your insurance and file it. It's not that exact moment. It's a few days later. So I believe, if I may be mistaken on this, but I believe after I filed my authority paperwork, it was 3 or 4 days, I got an email saying, "Hey, we've accepted your paperwork." So I believe that's the moment when I actually had filed or paid for my insurance and had my insurance agent call and activate, bind the insurance with the authority. And it's supposed to take 21 days, but mine came back a little bit quicker. I don't know if it's because of weekends or weekdays or, what exactly went on there, but I believe mine took about 18 days total. So, you paid for that. You got your authority filed. You got your insurance guy to call him and say, "Hey, he's got insurance." Everything is moving forward now. And now it's just a waiting game as far as the MCDOT numbers go. This is what they call the protest period. And the protest period is the point which, if you've done any shady dealings, or if somebody, for whatever reason in the world, they don't like your name, it could be anything, they have to send it in writing that they want to protest for this specific reason. And it could be dated the last day of that protest period. As long as it's post dated, they can put a protest on your DOT numbers. But it didn't happen to me, thankfully. And I got, like I said, about 18 days into the whole process, I got my DOT MC numbers. And you will get a letter. I got one electronically and also got one in the mail. And it's really important. It doesn't look like much. It just has your MC number and your DOT number. And it says, "Okay, basically you're ready to do business." Make sure that you save that paperwork electronically, because you're going to be emailing that almost every day. Every carrier packet that you fill out, they will want a copy of that letter. And so after you filed, and I've said this before, that's the easiest part of the whole thing, getting your DOT numbers. Because you've paid somebody to fill out the paperwork and you paid for your insurance, and then you just wait. But during that waiting time, you're just not sitting there waiting. You've got multiple other things to do, lots of other things to do. But for this video, I just wanted to go through my experience with the authority and the insurance, because they go hand in hand. And if you noticed, I didn't go into any detail on the authority paperwork because this is not the channel for that. If you're going to fill out your paperwork yourself, then please go to another channel, somebody that knows exactly what they're doing. I would not go to another channel of a driver who's done it one time and get information from them. Go to somebody who does it on a daily basis and get your information from them. And just like I said, my advice would be to let somebody that does it every single day, let them do it. Pay the money and let them do it and know it's done right, and you don't have to worry or stress over it. So authority, insurance go together. Try to cover quite a bit in the next video. And again, I am no expert on any of this. I'm just giving you my experience and what you might expect during each point of this. I'm trying to break it down a little bit because it can really be overwhelming if you try to put it all in one box and sift through it. So in my previous video, I covered 4 things I think should be in place before you start to get your authority. Excuse me. Insurance could have easily been in that video, but it just goes so hand in hand with trucking authority. That's why I put them both together. And the next video is probably going to be covering quite a few things, so stay tuned for that.